What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Divij podcast, episode 139. Grant, first of all, thank you, brother. I want to say thank you. You got to get the flowers when it's due. You've been going super hard on the podcast. He painted the walls. We got gray walls now. It was kind of white, and it looked like a prison cell before, but now it got a little vibe to it. So shout out to Grant. Yep. Go follow him at Till Death Network. You got to change that name, though. We got to change it to Till Life Network. You know what I mean? But we'll talk after. But no, man, I'm super, super excited for this episode. As you guys know, I've been having a lot of Christian artists. We just had Lee Vossi, shout out to Lee, on the pod. And I was praying. I was like, man, who do I want on the podcast? Like, that's usually how I go about booking my guests. I'm like, I'll pray about it, and then a couple names will pop up in my head. And this man kept popping up in my head, and I'm so grateful that you're here, bro. I'm super excited to just dig deep into your story and talk about the music that you have coming out in the next 10 days. Crazy. Yeah, can't wait to dig deep. But man, we got John Keith in the building. He's a Christian rapper and artist from San Diego, California, member of the Indie Tribe.
Yes, sir.
Which we'll talk about. He's got a new album coming out called Grow Wings, drops on June 27th. One of the most versatile artists that I've seen in the Christian space. As a musician myself, like I evaluated you and I was like, dude, you got like the melodies, you can rap, like you're really like able to do all these different things. So I'm very curious about your studio process and your creative process, but we'll dig deep. But yeah, John Keith, welcome to the pod, man.
Man, thank you for having me, bro. This is dope.
We won't talk about the centipede stuff that we.
Yeah. We can.
We can. So what is it about? Because I asked you, there was a bug on the table, and I was like, yo, like, do you kill insects? Mm-hmm. And you said you don't, but then with certain ones you kill them in a very twisted.
Yeah, certain ones got to die by fire.
Okay.
They got to get lit on fire.
Interesting.
Roaches
got to go.
And centipedes. I'm trying to not do the centipedes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, spiders too. Big
spiders got
not go, little, not little spiders.
Yeah.
Little spiders, you get relocated.
Yeah.
Big spiders, you know what I'm saying? Let's turn up the heat.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
Literally, like you're lighting them with a match.
I have a lighter, and I will literally.
I respect that.
I'll light it on fire.
Does it say in the Bible that you're not supposed to kill insects?
No.
Okay, so you're good.
No, that's not in there. That's not in there.
So funny. No, I'm just messing with you, man. That's I do the same thing. I do remember this one time there was a spider at my mom's house, and I was ironing a shirt, and I literally took the iron.
That's when you brought the
iron. That's why I said it, because it was real. Burnt it. But I still feel bad to this day. And I don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How big was it?
It's just a normal spider, like normal size.
It's weird. There hits a certain level of spider where it stops feeling like a bug and starts feeling like an animal.
Yeah, real.
Like when it hits that certain size, but then it kicks back in because you're like, no, you're too big to live. You gotta go.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
Is it murder? Like after they get to a certain size?
Yeah. Certain size is murder.
Yeah.
I think tarantulas are probably murder.
You should go to jail for that, probably. If you kill a tarantula.
You should at least be. Prosecuted.
Definitely.
I don't know. I don't really know what that word means.
No, that's a real word. Okay, this is great. I'm glad we started off on a funny note. But dude, I'm so grateful, man, and I really want to dig deep, and we'll talk about the music. We'll talk about your story. I want to talk about how you found Jesus and that journey for you. But before we get into all that, bro, I would love if you could take me back to before your killing insect days as a kid.
Yeah,
like who
started.
Yeah, so came out the womb with a lighter. He's like, "Where's the insects at?" No, like tell me about growing up in San Diego and in your childhood. Like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in San Diego, California. I got a big family. I have a lot of siblings. My parents were kind of always taking in people, and so my parents are kind of everyone's parents. I technically have 3 blood brothers, right? But within my life, my parents have taken in 2 of my cousins that have become brothers. There's 3 girls that have become my sisters, and there's a lot of us, Yeah. And so I grew up in a house that always had people in it, and it was not a house we didn't have a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like I didn't have my own room until I moved out, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like my dad working 80 hours to, for us to be able to live and survive and all that kind of stuff. And so San Diego's expensive.
Yeah.
And so but you know that it never stopped them from like sharing everything that they had with everyone, you know. And so yeah, so I was raised in a church. You know, my mom had us in music classes very young. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I was kind of always singing or whatever, you know. But then she put me in drum class. I played drums. I had a brief stint with the clarinet.
Interesting.
And then I was like,
This ain't it.
what I look like playing the clarinet?
Yeah.
I respect all my clarinet players out there. Yeah, and so I was a drummer, and then I started to. I was the church drummer at like 15, 16, and then you know, I was dancing as well. Like I thought I was gonna be a professional dancer.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm about to be Ian Eastwood or the Kinjas. I was like, it's up.
You were doing like hip hop, or was it? Were you doing like ballet?
No.
Okay.
No, I shouldn't have laughed at that. There's people that do ballet.
I did ballet.
Oh, really?
I did ballet.
You did the ballet?
Yeah.
That's dope. Were you able to do the thing on your toes?
Yeah, easy.
You can still do it?
Yep.
I have to see that expeditiously.
I'll show you post interview. Yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy.
We'll get into that.
My first job ever, I was a hip hop dance teacher.
Oh wow.
Yeah. At 16. And then my second job, I was teaching drums. Yeah. And then after that, you know. So yeah, you know, music and art has kind of always been a part of my life. You see, I did it, Grant. You see that? I leaned forward and I'm gonna go back. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Music and art has always been a part of my life.
Yeah.
You know, and my siblings, like my brothers make music. You know, my sisters can sing. It's like it's what it is. You know. Yeah, you know, and so we grew up in the church playing music, and you know, yeah,
that's so interesting. And your parents were supportive of this journey that you were going on, like
yeah. So it's really weird. My mom received a prophecy,
wow,
when she was pregnant with me,
yeah,
and it's super weird because I tend to be a very skeptical person when it comes to any kind of supernatural things, which is so weird because I've experienced some crazy things in my life, but I lean very skeptical.
Yeah.
But she received a prophecy when she was pregnant with me. It was that, you know, your children are going to be musically gifted and their music is going to be the sound of deliverance for their generation.
Wow.
That's what she was told. And so she always believed that we were going to be in music.
Yeah.
In some, you know, to some degree. Which is why she was like, okay, music classes. This is what's happening. You know, but yeah, you know, when it came to actually pursuing it, you know, like you get in your parent mind and you're like, oh no, but you got to go to college. You know, like you got to go work on the plan B. And so like I graduated high school early. And my mom was like, you have to go to college. I believe you're going to do music, but you have to work on your plan B. And we were going back and forth, and I did a semester. Terrible. Yeah. But I told her at one point, I was like, I don't understand so for one, if this is my plan B, why would I spend 4 years working on my plan B primarily with working on plan A on the side? That's how plan A becomes plan B.
Right.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense at all. And then I also just asked her, I was like, do you think it's in God's will for every human to go to college? She was like, no. I was like, then why are you pushing it so hard on me? And she was like, and then she stopped pushing it. And so I dropped out of college and I started going hard on music. And I was working jobs at the same time. I worked at In-N-Out. I worked at Trader Joe's.
Wow.
And I worked at a nonprofit organization, which is super dope. I always talk about it. It's called the Davis Harper Foundation. Yeah. Lets homeless, at-risk, and incarcerated youth come in and trade good grades and good behavior for studio time.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I was actually a student in that program first, which is how I started my recording process. And I graduated, and then I started working there. Those are still my family to this day. I was there yesterday. Wow. You know, and I'll be there tomorrow. So, yeah, I worked there from 17 until 2020, which I was however old in 2020, I don't remember. Yeah. But yeah, and so yeah, that kind of just got me to where I am now. Yeah. In an oversimplified way. Yeah.
So you went all in. Like you
Yeah.
didn't have a plan B.
No.
You went straight music.
I was like, I'm not good at anything else. I was like, I'm a bad employee when I'm working for someone else. It was just bad.
Yeah.
I was in and out, and they're like, okay, let's get you to the, because they do like levels there. Let's get you leveling up so we can get you to. And I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like,
is it because your mind was somewhere else? Like your brain was on the music, your heart wasn't in it.
Yeah, I'm like, and I'm trying to be careful when I talk about this now, just because I'm like, I think there's like a stigma with today's generation of like, oh, I have to go do something and be in front of people to be living my purpose, and I think that's ridiculous. But at the time, I was just like, this just feels wrong. I don't know how to explain it. I am not supposed to be here.
Yeah,
I'm just not supposed to be here. And that's not even like any kind of like theological statement. I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
Like in your gut, it was, you didn't feel like you were where you were called to be.
I spent all day singing songs. People were irritated because I was spent all day singing songs.
Yeah.
When I was at Trader Joe's, people were very irritated because I spent all day singing like worship songs.
Wow.
They were like, yo, keep your religion elsewhere. And I was like, I'm singing a song.
Yeah.
I'm not preaching you a sermon. I'm singing a song to myself.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even hear it if you were 4 feet away from me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
wow, yeah.
So I was just always doing that. I was somewhere else mentally, and yeah.
It's interesting, dude. I love hearing about these stories where the parents, for your mom, it was a prophecy, but to me, there's like parenting and then there's like premier parenting. And it sounds like your mom and your father were the premier parents. Like they recognized your skill sets, what you were good at, what you truly loved and where your heart was at. And they push you into it. Like they let you just be in that.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a parent, if you can recognize that early with your children, and if you see like, yo, he's shadow boxing, he's like 3 years old, what's going on? Like boxing, boom. Or like, yo, he's really good at numbers, like mathematician, boom. Like, recognizing that. So
yeah, 100%. I think we live in like a hyper individualistic culture now where everyone's like, I have to define me for me. And it's like, there's a level of, you gotta, you have to know who you are for sure. But all throughout time and history, like people have been defined by their community, and so it's a really weird thing with nowadays. It's hyper individualistic. It's like, no, I'm going to define me for me and only me, but I still can't really function unless community still affirms this thing that I've just defined for myself. That's new.
Yeah.
And it's not working. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's like actually not working anywhere. And so like, yeah, my parents were like, oh, this is okay. Let's push him into this. And that is going to define, like it did define me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen with my son.
yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's beautiful, man. When did you pick up the camera? Because I like to like do a little bit of research on my guests, and not too much to where I feel like I know you already. But I was watching your vlogs from like 8 years ago.
That's crazy.
And I was like, dang, like what inspired you to pick up the camera? Like that's a long time ago. That's like almost a decade.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to pick up the camera and start documenting everything that you had going on?
Well, for one, John Bellion. John Bellion.
Genius.
Yeah, he's saying one of my heroes.
Yeah. Who was on the project with you?
Yeah, he's on my album now.
Unbelievable. I want to talk about that deeply.
Yeah. But I loved watching. I realized I was like, I love his music, but I love seeing who he is even more. And I was like, if I'm able to do that for people, I want to do it.
Yeah.
And even though it wasn't so much like getting in the studio and like, let me show you how I created this song, because I wasn't producing at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was working with people that weren't as like, I guess like, it's just tough. Like, I want to work all the time. Everyone's not like that,
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I'm just going to vlog everything.
Yeah.
So it's just my life. And,
Right.
and it kind of did have a similar effect. There's people nowadays that are still like, bring the vlogs back. And I'm like, dude, I'm much more boring now. Like, you think it's going to be lit. I'm not going and doing, like this, this stuff is cool. Like, I was just in New York at Breakfast Club. And,
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's cool. But like now these places you go into is like no cameras. So you're going to, I'm just saying, like, and most of the time I'm just at my house with my son and my wife. And so it's like, this is going to be boring vlog. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out a way that I can bring some of it, to people, in a way that makes sense for the season I'm in. But yeah, I just wanted people to see, get a better glimpse of who I am. I guess.
That's beautiful. With John, that's how I found him, was like the BTS of the studio sessions and just watching his like creative flow, like behind the scenes. Have you met him in person?
Yeah. So in August of last year, I got to go to his house, and I was in New York for Sway in the Morning, and I'm signed to Rodney Jerkins, who is a legend and the GOAT, and he knows everybody. And so he hit John and was like, yo, my artist is in New York, would you guys be down to connect? And so he connected us. We rode out to his house, got to get in the studio. I got to hear like 90% of the album.
Crazy.
Last year, I got to play him some stuff. I didn't get to play him any of this album because I didn't have any of it yet.
Yeah.
But I got to play him some stuff, not stuff that I was like super proud of, but just got to sit and talk about Jesus and talk about fatherhood and talk about creativity and music. I mean, the first question he asked me was, how did you come to Jesus? And I was like, dude, like, this is dope. You know what I mean? Like, you're just a solid dude.
Yeah.
All the way. So, we got to meet him, got to connect, and we talked about working on a song at some point, but we hadn't, I didn't have anything yet. And then in the process of working on this album, I sent him a record, and he was like, I love this, let's get it. But then he was very locked in on his album, so he wasn't able to get to it. So he was like, yo, I have a song that I think would work. And so he sent it, and it was amazing. And so that's the song that's on the album now.
Which song is that one?
It's called No Hands.
I see, but that one's not released yet.
No, not yet. It's not yet.
It's coming soon.
Yeah, it's coming soon. Yeah.
I seen his the Wash record that he just did. Oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Like I've never heard a cadence like that in any song ever.
You know what I mean? He really is. I mean, Wash to me is like my favorite song that he's ever created.
Real.
I told him that when he played it for me at the crib. I was like, I'm almost in tears at how good this is. Yeah. And he was like, man, thank you. He's also very, he's like, thank you, man. All right, next one. And I'm like, can we stop and
just acknowledge this
real quick? This is crazy. Bask in it. But yeah, I love that record. Yeah. Crazy.
The music video too is fire.
I love it. I love all of it, bro.
Yeah, John's a legend. Tell me about your journey with Jesus, because I feel like that's such a big, important part of who you are and the music. But like you said, you grew up in church, but how did your relationship with Jesus like develop? Like, how did it become so strong?
So my dad has always kind of been in some kind of church leadership, not officially, but they've tried to do it to him for a long time, and he was always like, no. He just didn't want to be called anyone's leader. Yeah. Or pastor. He's a pastor now. He's finally accepted it. Wow. Praise God. But so we were always in church. But for me, I don't know. I think I had a similar experience to that of a pastor's kid. You know, because my dad was who he was. Always leading Bible studies, that was always the case. You know what I'm saying? Everyone in church knew him. All the leadership was close with him, like all of this. It was something else. But for me, God was like, it's just the thing that you do. You know, he wasn't a person. Like, you go to church, like you wash your hands before you eat. This is just what you have to do. Yeah. You know? And then I went to a church camp in 2010, and got my whole joint flipped upside down.
Yeah.
You know, craziness. It was just super weird, supernatural experience that was. I'm always very careful about now with sharing it, because I think that I've seen it affect people in a negative way, and I try and be careful with it. But it was
negative in the way of like they become so overwhelmed that they can't exist. Like,
no, well, people will go, either you're crazy or I've never experienced God, and I'm like, that's not the case, man. I don't, it was a supernatural thing, but I don't think that was God's preference for how things went. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that it was God bringing good out of evil and darkness. I mean, I'm dancing all around it. I might as well just. So, I mean, I was 11 the first time I thought about taking my life, right? And it was it was a voice, you know.
Yeah.
I was 12 when I went to that church camp for the first time and experienced craziness. I was just like, I don't understand this. I'm looking at things that I can't explain.
Yeah.
People are, my older brother didn't even sing. He didn't sing. But he had a vision there of him leading worship on stage in front of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And he did that for years at this church called the Rock Church in San Diego. Massive church.
Yeah.
He's a worship leader. He's also an artist now, which is he's incredible. His name is Shua. You should definitely have him.
Oh wow,
here.
absolutely.
But yeah, and so, but also just seeing the change in my brother. Like, he came home a different person. He's just a different person.
He's an older brother?
My older brother, yeah. He didn't want to fight anymore. He didn't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, we would get into arguments. He would come and apologize. He was a different person. And I was like, this is so weird. So, like, all that stuff happens. And then he's telling me he's different. So God is real, but I just don't think he cares about me. You know? And I said it, but I think that was also an idea that came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I actually made sure that I went back to that mountain, that camp, every single year from 12 to 18.
Wow.
Because I was like, I need to get mine. And every year that mine didn't happen, I was closer to ending my life. And I was about to age out. So 18 was my last year.
Yeah.
Or actually, I guess it was 17. 17 was my last year. And I told God, I was like, I know that you're real. I can't deny that. There's not any denying that. And so if you don't do something, I promise you, as soon as I get back, I'm going to take my life. It's wraps.
Yeah.
And I went up there and there was nothing and nothing and nothing. And then there was the last night of church or the last night of camp, and there's worship going on, and I'm like trying to worship and trying to press in and trying to experience something. And there's like a little voice that says, this doesn't change anything. And I'm like, okay, I ignore that. And I go back to worshiping, and then the voice comes back and it's like, this doesn't change anything. You're going to go home and you're going to do what you need to do. You're going to go home and kill yourself. Or I don't know if you're going to get flagged for me saying that.
You're good. Yeah.
You're going to go home and you're going to, you know what I'm saying, delete yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I'm trying to ignore this thought, but then I take my eyes off of worship and I start going back and forth with this thought that's in my head. I'm trying to speak out loud to it. And then the voice, like the thought at some point becomes an audible voice. Like I can hear it, like you can hear me now. And once I realized what was happening, I was like, dude, I think I've snapped. Like, I think I've lost my mind. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I like freeze. And then the voice said to me, if you're so certain that he loves you, why do I talk to you more than he ever does? And I heard it, and it just wrecked me. I was like, you're right. And it's over. And so like I'm like a kind of panic attack like ensues, and I run outside, and I'm like bawling my eyes out. I'm like, this is it. Like this is it. It's all over. I'm gonna go on. Like there's no more hope. And then he said to me again, he was like, let me show you how much more real I am than God. I'm God to you, right? And in front of me manifested this person, this demon, and it was violently demonic, you know. And I run back inside, and I'm like, my body is like, it's a weird thing. I don't fully know. I haven't really dived into what was biologically happening in me, because I like collapsed on the floor, and I'm just like, I'm numbing out. Like I feel like my body's in shock. I don't know. I literally don't know. Yeah. But it was weird, you know. And I'm sitting there, and people are starting to crowd around me, and then my friend kind of breaks through the crowd, and he's yelling at me, but I can't really hear what he's saying. He's like yelling at me. He's got tears in his eyes, and he looks like he's about to hit me. I was like, you know, but he grabs my head, and as soon as he grabs my head, I heard the voice of God break through louder than like anything. And and God is just saying, like, look at how much I care about you. Like, look at the lengths they've gone. Look at how far they've gone to destroy you. Like, that's not because of you. It's because of me. It's because of what you mean to me. That's why this is happening. And I mean, that moment just transformed my life. I was like, I could never deny his existence, and now I had evidence of his love and reason for my you know, war. Yeah. And so, you know, yeah, I couldn't look back after that, you know. Yeah. But the reason I tell people, like, they don't like desire these things. I you know, it was beautiful that God saved me, but I mean, I slept with the light on for 5 years after that, because that stuff will scar you and you're cooked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I slept with the light on because I was like,
you were scared that the demon would come back.
I was like, it's just that the image was burned into my brain. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like, even now today, you know, and like, I have tools to deal with it now. Yeah. You know, I know scripture well. And so, like, I know what to speak and what I believe about all of that now. And so, but even now when if I'm going to sleep and like, if I hear something or anything like that, my brain immediately goes back to that. It's like, it's just essentially trauma, you know. It's like that image is burned into my brain. And I used to describe the image for people, but it would give them nightmares, so I'm not going to do that. Oh, but God. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you know, I'm like, I think God stepped in an extreme way because he had to, or not necessarily that he had to. That's theologically all over the place, but you know, that it was necessary. And so I don't think that was his preference for how that should have went, you know. Yeah. I think he preferred that I just believe. So, yeah. Dang. Yeah, so that's kind of how I came to Jesus. And then after that, you know, I just dove into, like, the Bible. And, like, the Bible is just one of the most interesting things to me in the world, you know. And so I don't think you can study it enough. And so I'm just, you know, I love it. That's all I do.
Yeah. Dang, bro. Thank you for sharing that. That's like, I know that cuts deep for you. And obviously that was it sounds like that demon or whatever you were dealing with took up a big chunk of your life. Like, it was omnipresent in your entire teenage years and maybe even thereafter, which I'm so grateful that you are able to share it, because I think a lot of people, it resonates with them. You know what I mean? Like, people are depressed. There's anxiety at the peak, and if I think there will be hope in people hearing this, because it's like, you know, God saved you from rock bottom and he pulled you out, and look at what you're up to now. You know what I mean? Like he not only saved you, but now he's using you as a tool to inspire others and to uplift others, which is beautiful. And I think it's important for them to hear that, because then they have hope that it can happen to them as well if they just stay, you know, committed.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So tell me about, you know, it sounds like once you got out of that and Jesus saved you, you know, you became a student then. You went to the Bible, you went to the tools, the scripture, to grow and to learn, because you had this genuine curiosity. So like, tell me about like how that started going. Like, how did that incorporate with the music then? Like, were you making secular music before and then you started making gospel music? Like, how did that apply to your career?
Yeah, I mean, I say that I was always making Christian music.
Yeah.
Because every song that I was making was still oriented toward God. It was not typical Christian music. It was not, God, you're holy and you're good and I'll follow you forever. It was like, God, where are you? Because I don't understand what's going on. You're distant and I don't know if you love me. And I don't know, all of these things, it was like Psalms, you know? But I would say all of it was Christian, because it reflected scripture. But, you know, I don't know. So I mean, God has just always been a part of my life, in one capacity or another. And so once I actually started a personal relationship with him, once I actually started following him, it just, you know, the music just formed around that, you know. And so, and honestly, it changed some, but there were still plenty of songs that I wrote that were like, God, I don't get this again. Yeah. It feels like you're dissing again. Why did you leave me? Why are you, you know, whatever. And so, yeah, I don't know. I was, you know, I would just get more and more curious about different things in scripture. Yeah. And meanwhile, I was just making music. And it's actually funny because I think that a lot of people wouldn't know the depth of my interest in scripture and theology and church history and all of that, based off of my music.
Interesting.
You know,
I think because there's not a lot of references perhaps to scripture.
Yeah, you know, I don't reference scripture directly. I really like making love songs. Like to my wife or even like between God. I think that all of that stuff is good and it's necessary. But I mean, I think that love is the biggest thing. That's what, you know, Jesus emphasized that. Paul emphasized that. I think God emphasizes it all throughout scripture. And so that's largely what is in my music. This album that I'm about to drop is an album about the love of God. Yeah. You know, and it's in different ways and there's still a story and like theme to it, but it's about love. Yeah. And the lack thereof, or feeling the lack of, you know, searching for, chasing, trying to earn, trying to make sense of, all of those things. Yeah. Yeah. I
was watching the trailer for the album, which is incredible. And one thing that you said, which stuck to me, was, and I was curious about it, was you said that this album was like falling apart to you. So can you break that down? Like, what did you mean by it? You felt like it was falling apart?
So there is an analogy that was given to me before actually kind of in the middle of while I was working on this. And it was so weird because I was like, yeah, it just makes sense. Telling me about how butterflies work. And butterflies are, you know, or I guess caterpillars crawl into their chrysalis and like become completely liquid. And then, you know, a butterfly is formed and it emerges from its chrysalis. I thought it was a cocoon. Apparently it's not a cocoon. It's not a cocoon. Butterfly, they don't do cocoons. Moths do cocoons. Oh, okay. Apparently butterflies do chrysalises, which
Yeah.
just feels way more pretentious to me.
Yeah.
But it's
bougie.
fine. Let's be let's be correct about it. Yeah, so it crawls in there. But the interesting part is somebody said if it fights the process, if the caterpillar fights the process, it stays dead. It will just die. The butterfly will not be born.
It has to surrender.
It has to surrender to the process of falling apart in order to be made new.
Wow.
And I was like, that is crazy, because that is what this is. That is what human growth is. Human growth is not becoming strong. It's about becoming soft enough for God to mold you into something new, you know? And so, like, I felt like in the process of this project and writing about these things, it's just this falling apart of things that I believe about myself, about love, about God, about relationship, these things falling apart so that God can make something new out of it. And so I made this music to help people, even if it was not on purpose. But I made this music to help people fall apart, you know?
Wow.
And so that's my hope for it, is that it will help people fall apart so that God can make something new.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And you also said that you made this album for people to cry. Like you want it to evoke that sadness, which is kind of an interesting perspective, because I feel like, you know, when you think of Christian music, it's like you want people to hear it and feel uplifted and feel positive and feel like they can go, you know, conquer their day. But you're telling me that this album is like, you want to break them down so that God can rebuild them.
Absolutely.
Which is such a like crazy, unique perspective. Like, how did you come up with the project? Like, what was your creative ideation when you got in the studio? Like, how did you come up with this concept of it?
I started working on the concept for this project right after my last album in 2023. So the day I hit submit on my last album was this idea popped into my head, and it was this phrase or this I don't know, this thing that I said to God. And it was like, sometimes I'm afraid that I'm not actually the person that you love. Sometimes I think that I'm just who he used to be. And because the idea came from the fact that, and it's crazy, I told John about that in New York, I'm just realizing, and I didn't have the album yet.
Yeah.
But God sits on the outside of time, right? Let's just get a little bit theological for a second. Okay, so God sits on the outside of time. He's not bound by our timeline. So that means God is right now present with who we are, who we were, and who we will be on the last day of our lives. Right now, all at once, he's present with all of who we are and will ever be. And dealing with the tension of God, like, I know that you see things that I can't see.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm not certain if I'm actually that person. Like, I don't feel like that person. I don't feel like a person that's like transformed, and I feel like I'm dealing with the same things every day of my life. I feel like I'm still impatient. I feel like I'm still unkind. I feel like I struggle to have joy. I feel like I'm harsh. I'm not loving. Like, I don't understand how you can love this person, and I don't understand how I can be who you say that I am. You know, and so that's what it was. And the reason I think that it's important, making music to cry to bring about that release, is the joy of the Lord is it's true. That is biblical. That is absolutely true. Experiencing the joy of the Lord. But I think that a lot of times Christians, at least in the West, in America, think that the joy of the Lord is void of lament or sorrow.
Mm.
The things work in tandem, like they work together. There's a tension that needs to be held. And I personally don't listen to a lot of happy music, but I also need to be. I don't mean to condemn anyone who makes joyful, happy music.
Yeah.
But I think that, Jesus was a man acquainted with many sorrows.
Yeah.
Like there's a big part of the Christian life that is filled with sorrow and lament and suffering and repentance and like all of those things.
Yeah.
And I think that if everything is sunshine and rainbows and lollipops and dancing and I'm gonna have a good day, then it's like, what do you do when you don't? What do you do when you wake up and you're like, I'm going to have a good day today? And God's like,
no, you're not.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
It's going to be very different than you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Or realizing that what God calls a good day is different than what you think is a good day. I'm thinking of the Forrest Frank song because it's
gonna have a good day.
Yeah, there's like it's just like a really big happy Christian song right now. I'm not trying to condemn or say anything about that Forrest Frank is doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's what he does is needed and people they need that, But I'm serving different people or I'm serving those people for when they need something else.
Yeah.
And so it's like there are certain days where the sun is not shining down on you and the birds are not singing praise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
they're pooping on you.
Like it just took a crap on your shoulder and
it's diarrhea. Like
and it's
yeah.
wicked. You know what I'm saying? Somebody gave pigeons laxatives and it's over for your favorite shirt and your car just got wrecked.
Yeah.
And like you can't pay rent and maybe you don't even know who you are anymore. You've done something that you're just like, I thought I would never do that, and I'm struggling with the thought of hating myself. What is a good day in that case? Like a good day in that case is falling apart so that Jesus can make you new. And so yeah, I don't know that's like it's a big thing for me.
Yeah. I love that. It's a very like real approach to the world. It's very like that's the only way I can put it. Like that's like, bro. Like when I think about my days, right? Like even after I found Jesus, I'd say 60% of my days, 60 maybe 70%, maybe more, like still have darkness.
Yeah. Like
there's still moments throughout the day. I could be having the best day, but then something just weighs on me, and I feel this pressure. I feel the sadness, and it's like. There isn't a lot of music out there that is serving those moments, because I could listen to Have a Good Day and maybe it'll bring me up a little bit. But what if I listen to something that breaks me down a bit more?
Yeah.
So that I can surrender and open my heart up. And that's such a unique approach to music. Like I've never heard of that thing that you're like the way you're offering is so unique.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, man.
I think another thing is. And you know what? No, never mind.
He said, "No, I'm good. I ain't gonna say it."
Yeah.
By the way, we can edit this. We could chop it up. Boom, boom, boom. So we're yeah. Dang, this is good though. Talk to me about the trailer for the new album, because when I watched it, I had to rewatch it a couple of times because it was the little things, your movements, your shoulders. The way that your face was kind of moving. Like, tell me about the inspiration creatively behind the trailer itself.
You talking about the one with the song, or the one where I'm talking?
The one with the song where the names pop up.
Yeah.
John Bellion.
I don't know that trailer. It kind of it felt like it felt like the album. It's like. You're just seeing nothing but a person's face, experiencing pain, singing through it.
Yeah.
With, people's names behind them, and you know what I'm saying, being moved by the music. Like that's just what it felt like, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe that sounds ridiculous, but that's
what it was.
I felt like it was perfect because of that. So
yeah. You also said something about how you told your producers and your team that you want people to, like, if there was no music and it was just the lyrics, or if there was no lyrics and it was just the music, like you wanted them to experience that level of emotion. Do you feel like you accomplished that?
Everyone that has heard it has told me that that we did. It was me and my brother Enzo made the whole thing from start to finish. This is my first time ever creating like that with somebody. I've done everything by myself for the majority of my career. Like I'll do something and then I'll send it to somebody so that they can add some stuff to it. But as far as creation goes, I'm in the studio by myself working on stuff. And that's been tough. Yeah. But I didn't know it was tough because it was all I knew, you know? And so when me and Enzo got together, like we were doing everything together. I'm producing with him. He's writing with me, you know? And so I've never had anybody be like, bro, why don't you say this instead? And I'm like actually opening myself up to that is it was brand new. So, and so I told Enzo, I was like, I want every song, the lyrics, if you take all the lyrics away, if you take all the music away, I want the lyrics to, compel, or evoke emotion. And if you take all the lyrics away, just the music, I want the music to be able to do the same thing. And, we just did our best to, bring that to life, and everyone said that that's what it feels like. So you know what I'm saying?
Let's go.
Yes sir, we got one, Enzo.
Let's go, man. I'm super excited to listen to it. I can't wait for the album release party. It's gonna be a blast.
I'm very excited about it. This is the last one before, it's 2 days before the album drops. And that's crazy. It's also so fast. Like it all goes by so fast. Right. I feel like we just made these songs. Right. We kind of did, It was December to January. Was when all of these happened.
Or does your brain immediately go into like starting to think about the next project, or do you think you're going to give yourself time to like sit in this?
No, I already know what the next I got the name. I got the name for the next project. Because the thing is, this one is different though, because this project is Grow Wings is really the first half. The end of the project is the song Won't Fly that I just dropped. And that song is like the completion of the falling apart. But the falling apart is not the end of the story. So this project is really the first half of a whole story. And so we're about to start the second half.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is that project going to be more about uplifting, like have a good day kind of vibe? Like is it a different, or is this next one sad too?
I don't think it'll be have a good day vibe. But I think it's going to be different in ways. Because I'm also in a different season of my life than I was when we wrote the first one. I'm different. I have a lot more hope just in my personal life than I did when these songs were being created. And so it's Grow Wings is the first half, and Fly is the second half, and so we're about to start working on And Fly.
Let's go, man. I'm super, super grateful, man, for you to come on and share this, man. It's God willing, we're able to do a part 2 when you have that next project.
That'd be incredible, man. This has been dope for sure.
Thank you, bro. If there's any advice for people that are listening, because most of my viewers are 18 to 35 men who are struggling, or they want to be something and accomplish something, but maybe they don't know where to start. Like, if you had to give any sort of advice to kind of leave them with, what would you say?
What do you want to do? You know what I'm saying? Like,
what do you want to do?
Yeah, I think at least as far as Christians go, we all have this thing of like trying to find our purpose.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I wanted to carefully say what I said about my job earlier. I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
Supposed to is tough. And it's also weird. Everything has to be held with nuance because there's the prophecy stuff and all of that. But ultimately, like, your father is a good father.
Yeah.
God is a good father. And he created you and he gave you certain things that you enjoy and that you find joy in and that you're good at. So finding the intersection of what you're good at and what you enjoy is how you start it. Just go. Just do it. There's a lot of people who's like, oh man, like, bro, I'm gonna be in the NBA because I love basketball, but you're 4'2".
They might be the next Nate Robinson.
Yeah,
you never know.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the likelihood of you going to the league is over for you.
Yeah,
it's over for you. And so I think you got to find the intersection of what you're good at and what you love. And God gave you that thing as a gift, not as a job.
Yeah,
music was given to me as a gift. If I stop doing music today, he loves me. I'm his son, and I can do something else.
Yeah.
So
I feel like, would you go be like a realtor or something? Sell a house?
No, what I'm good at. What I'm good at. So,
if you weren't doing music, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be in seminary.
What's it? I'm so sorry. What is that?
It's like a Bible school.
I thought you said I'm gonna be in a cemetery. I was like, dude, that's terrible.
Oh, that's dark.
Yeah.
No.
Seminary.
Seminary. Yeah, I think I'd probably be in seminary to be a pastor. That might be at some point in my life. I don't know, but
yeah,
I would either be doing that or I really like movies. As a matter of fact, okay, so we haven't talked about this at all, but
yeah,
we like nobody knows this except for like my team, but we have been working on a short film. It's actually wrong. We've been working on a film.
Yeah.
That is called Grow Wings. Like, it's with the album.
Yeah.
And we we're gonna kind of present it to people because we're gonna need people's help to make it.
Yeah. Because
it's gonna cost about $160,000.
Oh my god.
And so gotta get that. Gotta go and get the money to be able to do it. But I love film. I'm saying, so it's just music, Bible, and film. That's my entire life. Yeah. And I love acting and storytelling. And so, trying to do that as well and bring that to life. And you're the first person that knows about that. So,
is there a place where people can donate to that?
There will be.
Okay, cool.
I should probably when is this? I'll talk to you after.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll get the link and stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go, man. That's so beautiful. Well, bro, thank you so much. My man, John Keith, for coming on. If people don't follow you already, where can they find you?
Everywhere. John Keith, Jon. Don't put no H in my name. JONKEITH at the end, but
there is an H, just not.
There's an H at the end. There's no H in John. John Keith.
Yeah. Let's go, man.
Yes,
I'm super excited to hear the album, and make sure you guys go get it. Grow Wings coming June 27th.
Yes, sir.
And you can get it on all platforms. Make sure you guys go follow John. Follow the Till Life Network, a.k.a. Till Death Network. But yeah, make sure you guys leave a review, subscribe. It's super helpful. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.